Have you done all of the personal and spiritual development work out there, but you've never focused on your sexuality? If you are a conscious leader ready to expand your sexuality, to spice things up sexually with yourself or with your partner, to have different types of orgasms, to call in more creative energy, then I want you to let today's interview with Amy inspire you. Amy is a thriving and successful massage therapist, expanding her business with more offerings, and she's stepping into more of her soul's calling. In this episode, you're going to learn how pleasure is essential for having and receiving more, the greatest benefit of focusing on pleasure while expanding your business, and how she went from only having clitoral orgasms to full body and deep vaginal orgasms, and how she went from living in her head to embodied, grounded, and taking action. And finally, you'll hear about her journey integrating and embodying her psychedelic journeys and how sexuality work helped. If expanding your sexuality excites you and you're ready to dive in yourself, then I'm super excited to announce that I have a brand new offering. It's called the 8 Types of Female Orgasms Blueprint Live Training that's starting November 11th, 2022. This is a 6-week live training with question and answers with me personally, where I'm going to show you not only how to have 8 different types of orgasms by expanding your pleasure and orgasmic capacity, but how to unlock a wellspring of unlimited creative energy. This is what I've been known for. Ever since I started my business, I have been known for helping people have all the different types of orgasms and in all the ways and to become multi-orgasmic. However, most people aren't willing to actually do the work to get there. But I want to tell you that your life, it's never going to be the same after doing that work and being able to unlock your full pleasure capacity and orgasmic capacity, just like Amy shares today. You're going to feel like you've reached your full potential when you do. You know there's more you're not tapping into, and it's bothering you, not knowing how to fully awaken and harness your sexual power. So instead of just leaving all of this pleasure on the table, you're going to be able to fully embody it and utilize it for your own benefit. You'll also learn how to become fully present in your sex life and in your life in general. You'll have all of this orgasmic energy available to use for other things, like activating your creativity, like Amy did, having a spiritual awakening, manifesting with it, and even using it to heal certain parts of your body. And you're going to feel more confident in your body, sexuality, and in your life. And what is amazing about this training is what I teach in it, I've only ever taught to private clients. You will not get this content in the Essentially Embodied Woman program. In this 8 Types of Orgasm Blueprint training, you'll get the exact practices I give to private clients who invest over $25,000 to work with me. And the only reason I am offering this to you at a very much more affordable rate is because I want to record the training to give to my private clients. And offering it to you, it gives me a reason to sit down and do it. The best part is you don't have to pay $25,000 to get it. It's only $888 with the payment plan option available. And if you apply and sign up for the Essentially Embodied Woman program, this is my signature group program, by November 10th, you will get this $888 training for free because I am gifting it to all of my SEW current clients and alumni for free. So if you thought about applying for SEW before, now would be a really great time because I've never offered a bonus like this for the program. So you can apply for SCW or sign up for the 8 Types of Orgasm Live Blueprint training at the link in the show notes. Now, here's Amy. This is the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast, the only sex podcast for 7- and 8-figure conscious leaders who want to embody their pleasure and have the best sex of their lives again. I'm Tilly Storm, holistic sex and intimacy coach, top 20 sex coach in the world, and your host today. Welcome back to the podcast, my loves. Today we have Amy, who did the Essentially Embodied Woman program. I'm so happy to have her on and share her story with us today. Hey, Amy, how are you, my dear?
I am doing great. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's just start with you sharing with me how we met and what led you to wanting to do a program like this in the first place.
Oh, okay. So how Tilly and I met was actually in Colombia. We were both there for a plant medicine experience with Marcy Locke. And yeah, it was pretty amazing adventure. But the more I got to know Tilly and what Tilly was, bringing to the world and what she was all about, I was like, hey, I want to do some of that. So that was my first sort of introduction into what you do, Tilly, and we just kind of went from there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was going on specifically for you around pleasure and sexuality? I know the jade egg really drew to you and you kind of felt called to that sort of practice, but what was going on that inspired you to want to start a practice like the jade egg in the first place?
So interesting because it did, like I said, yeah, it did come into my field before I met you, but I feel like what happened? I was I was feeling a little blocked in my sexuality. I was feeling like it was just getting a little bit like same old routine, isn't that nice, but not super spicy. And and I definitely was feeling like not only did I want to, spice up my sex life, but I also wanted to call in more creative energy. So that was my interest at the time.
Yeah. Oh, all the expansion. And we met in such an interesting way of being in this place of complete expansion and liberation. I mean, it was called the portal of liberation, for goodness sake. So
Oh,
we were we were in
I
this expansive phase. And I know so much has transpired in both of our lives, really, since March, when we did meet. And I want to hear the story of how your pleasure has expanded and how it's all tying into who you are as a human and what you're doing in the world, because this is so much more than just having better sex in the bedroom for you. This is more about what you're putting out in the world and your creative energy and how you show up as a business owner and all these things. So tell me, how is that all transpiring right now?
So how is it all transpiring? So I feel like since the time I came into your program, so much has changed, obviously. And I came into your program wanting to actually have different kinds of orgasms. We'll start with that. And so that is all happening. There are different kinds of orgasms that are happening for me now, which is wonderful, especially the full body orgasm is one of my favorites. Yeah, and I just feel like in terms of linking that to my life and my business, I feel like I'm in a big place of expansion right now, and I'm definitely in a place of creation for sure. So, because I'm still building my business in the sense of what is it that I'm offering and what does that look like, and all of that is transforming, it's changing, it's expanding, and it's all growing. So there's definitely a relationship between it sounds funny to say it, but really the more pleasure you're having, right, the more you're able to create. And I really had forgotten that. I did not, of course I read Mama Gina's book and all that, and I started to tap into that a little bit, right, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's good, it's important to have pleasure. Actually, I didn't realize it's essential to have pleasure. It's essential because that tapping into that, you're allowing yourself to have more and you're creating that neuro pathway, not just for sexual pleasure, but for all kinds of pleasure, which can also be, your pleasure of growing a bigger business, your bank account, or your relationship with your partner, or whatever it is, right? So it's
Yeah.
just really amazing.
Yeah. Well, you've already had an amazingly successful career in massage and you've done really well for yourself there. And it's like you're in this place of finding your true purpose and like really stepping into that greater work. And for so many people in my space, they're also in a similar place of having already had a successful career business and wanting to step more deeply into uh, something that lights them up more, something that feels like their soul's calling or their legacy business or whatever it is. And yet, at the same time, so many people don't understand the connection between their pleasure and why it even matters. So, what has been the greatest benefit for you around focusing on your pleasure that's really activated a greater sense of what you know you're here to do and how you're showing up and the type of business that you're creating, all that sort of stuff?
I feel like what it has allowed me to do is to be more, this is going to sound kind of cheesy, I guess, but to be more of a channel for the flow of creativity is the thing. So whereas before I was feeling like, oh, I kind of want to do this and I kind of want to do that, but I would like feel a blockage around it. I just feel more open. Like I have had stuff come through me that I'm like, oh, I didn't even have to think of that. That just dropped it. And I can tell the difference, you know what I mean, between just like trying to think to create versus just being in the flow and allowing those ideas to come up and through. And so I would link that directly to opening up sexually. You know, I really, really would. And what I actually find so fascinating is that I had never really thought about this before until I started working with you. But if you think about it, creation energy, I mean, we're all here because of sex, one way or another. It doesn't matter if you're a flower or whatever you are, a human, a cat, a dog, anything, it's all because of that. That is actually creation energy. And so everything is birthed through creation energy. And so that tapping into that is absolutely key. And I really, like I said, I did not understand that before. I just didn't comprehend that. And I see it and I feel it in myself and I see it in others. You know, I'm watching others who are like yourself, very successful and good at what they do, and they are dialed into their pleasure for sure.
Yeah. And being a very spiritual person and into all of these amazing psychedelic experiences, how has connecting with pleasure and your sacral grounded you down? How has it really helped you embody your pleasure so that you can have all of these different types of orgasms more easily and just experience more of a sense of actually being able to take action on your desires and moving forward with your goals and dreams?
I would say that before I was living so in my head that I forgot about what the word embodiment truly meant. Because to me, embodiment was like, yeah, I get it. I freaking get it. It's right here. You know, it's in my head, right? And so through the practice of your program and all the different things that we get to do together, and psychedelics, right, is all about making an imprint in your actual body. So not making it, but receiving it and then saying, okay, so the grounding for me has come in with actually, moving from my head into my body, feeling my body, really, really imprinting with what I'm actually feeling. And then after the experience, to take action on that. And that is actually the real magic. That is embodiment right there. Aligned action in action, however you want to say it, right? So that has been the key for me. And I feel like that's actually what stopped me for so long from moving forward because I didn't understand that. See, but I wasn't in my body about it with it. So
As every spiritual person I've ever been around, it's that if they have not done embodiment work, it's like, oh, I have all these ideas, I have all these things I want to do, and they're often great ideas and great things. But if it's not fully embodied and aligned and true within the body, and it doesn't feel true in the body yet, they're paralyzed into taking action in the direction of what they really want to create. So you're just the most amazing example of what happens when you've had all of these amazing mind-blowing experiences, but you actually take what's happening intellectually and in your mind and really embodying it to create a different life. It's the integration of it. It's like, okay, bring it back down to the 3D because, well, we're still here in the 3D as far as I know.
We're still here, right? It's exactly right. And I have to say, I have really amazing guides like yourself, and also I am always getting to remind myself because it's very easy for me to go back into my head and float off into the ethers because it was an old pattern, right? And it's just very familiar. I still get to work with that. I still get to remind myself of, okay, this is what we're doing, you know, and I still get to remind myself to take time for pleasure. You know, since I came back from doing these experiences, I've had one timeline after another, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we need to carve in a little time for some pleasure. You know, I still get to remind myself of all of it. So,
Yeah, good. Well, I know there were several practices that really did it for you, or that you felt really drawn to, or that helped you to experience this more embodied pleasure that we're speaking of and have these different types of orgasms. First of all, share with us, did you only have clitoral orgasms before? And now what kinds are you having? And what were some of the practices that really helped you get there? Like, what was your process through expanding your capacity for different types of pleasure and then actually having those orgasmic experiences?
Yeah. So clitoral orgasms, I never had an issue with actually having those, but that was like my number one go-to orgasm,
Yeah.
if you will. I would say through the program, vaginal for sure, and full body orgasms. And, so that's been very, very, very powerful for me. But I will tell you that the key exercises for that for me, number one, jade egg, love the jade egg because it just wakes you up down there. It really, really does. Like, actually, I think that the jade egg practice, aside from all the orgasmic possibility, I really feel like that just is a huge physical exercise that you can do to open your creative channels as well. And I would add to that the breathwork practices. What's my favorite one? I used to say it to you wrong all the time. The orbit, what's that?
The microcosmic orbit. Yeah.
Okay, number one. I love that breath work, that exercise of breathing, of making the full circle, throughout the body, all the different channels. That's just, so now I can actually do that all the time. I could just be on an airplane and just do that practice. Nobody has to know how much pleasure I'm feeling or what's going on, but it wakes you up and it gives you energy and it fires up your, it's like your ovaries, it just gets all that creative energy flowing. So I love it.
Yes. Okay. Can you describe for us, what does a full body orgasm feel like to you?
It's nothing like how, in my opinion, how you would define a regular orgasm. It is just like an explosion of pleasure all over the body. Yeah, it just flows and it doesn't end quickly at all. You can, if you keep breathing with it, you can just keep it going, circular. I've actually experienced it on plant medicine as well.
Yeah. We were talking about that before I
Yeah.
pressed record. I was sharing with Amy how when I am experiencing that initial drop in of plant medicine, of like really going into that space, losing your mind and going into, I don't know what you call it. Is there a specific word that you call that place? What is it called?
What, when you're on some medicine?
It like a trip for sure. Okay, but like is there a name for it? Do we have a name for it?
You go into the ethers.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. And my experience of that is almost to the point of not knowing how I could possibly handle any more pleasure because the activation is so great.
Yeah.
And it is like having a full body orgasm when I'm going into it. Because even in regular sex, not on plant medicines, I have this like I can have 20 or 30 orgasms during
Yeah.
sex with pleasure. And
All you got is orgasms, that is for sure.
well, sometimes that's it's a lot. It's a lot of energy moving through your body. And then the plant medicines heighten it even more. And then I don't know how people can just stay still through it. I'm like, how can you not move your body, Because it's a lot to hold in your body. And I think part of that whole experience for me is continuing to open my capacity for even more pleasure in my body.
Yes. It's a real lesson in there's always more. And you're like, what? Our human cannot comprehend that.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that. The mind just has no way to comprehend that.
Yes. Well, so many people desire to have full body orgasms. Was there a particular time where you realized, oh, that's what this is when, just like sober and sexuality with your partner or with yourself? What was that like when you first had one?
The first time I had it actually was on plant medicine, and I was like, holy cow. And I was just so free with it. By the way, the full body orgasm has nothing to do with your sexual organs. Like there was none of, I wasn't touching myself or anything, but I was breathing. I was actually doing the orbit breath that I always forget the name. And it was just waves and waves. And it felt like, I don't know, like tingling all over and just, yeah. So now for me to have it, I can just do the breath work. That's what stimulates it for me.
Yeah. So amazing. How cool. that our bodies are capable of having these completely heightened orgasmic states without any friction-based genital touching at all. And I always like to say for older women who might be postmenopausal that this becomes even more important because if you have issues with vaginal dryness, or maybe you're just bored with a clitoral orgasm, when you learn and imprint your when well I don't want to say learn and imprint, it's awakening and activating your energy body and learning how to use that energy intentionally. When you learn to do that, you never get bored with sex or sexual energy.
Right? Yeah. So I would say I'm still in the learning phase with that, but that's very, very powerful healing energy, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, tell me, what were your greatest, biggest wins? What was one of your favorite parts of doing this work, and how's it affecting you now?
Well, definitely the energy orgasm because I never had one of those in my life. And I gotta say, I really never thought I could. It wasn't even something that I would ever dream that I could have had happen. The other thing is that in the program is that we really openly share a lot, and that is not something that I was ever. I wasn't excited about it. You know what I'm saying? Doing that and being in the group and sharing like that and posting videos and stuff and just being super authentic, I think that was pretty awesome. That really opened up something for me and it really helped me to channel my voice. It helped me get clear and just become used to getting a little more vulnerable. I think that's been huge for me.
And where are you headed in your business right now?
Yeah, so I'm putting myself out there in many more ways, starting to do workshops locally, of course. And then I've just been able to put together my own signature offer that I feel like I actually put it together after our program. And then after some more plant medicine time, I got even more information on that. So I've just put together this really transformative package that I'm very, very happy with, and my clients are getting results. So that's where I am, and I definitely want to go. I want to expand even further because hey, there's always more. But I'm really pleased with the direction that I'm going. I'm pleased with my level of creativity, and I know I'll continue to create because hey, I've got so much pleasure in my life now.
Of course.
So it's been really, really amazing. And I miss actually being in your program because you have that connection, to other women. It's just really beautiful. And I would say this, what I also loved about it was that we were all so different. You have women from all over the world, you have them all different ages. I think I was one of the oldest at 48, and I know you've had much older than that, and I love that. And then, of course, you have all, 20s, 30s, whatever. But I just think it's amazing how everyone comes from a different background, a different age. And it's just really cool to connect with other women on that level and, hey, talk about your sex life.
Yeah, it's so funny. Everyone's like, oh, well, I was raised here, and therefore it was more restrictive or not permissive to talk about sex. And I always say, honey, it doesn't matter where you were raised. All of us got that.
Yeah.
At least 99% of us did. So yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you were raised. It's all been the same programming and the same negative pleasure conditioning. I literally just found out that one of the famous sexologists out there, that she had her email account banned from sending any emails to her followers because she used the word pleasure in an email title. And her email account literally banned her from sending stuff. It's like, this is the world we still live in, and it's 2022.
Pleasure is the devil. Whatever you hear from the Matrix, just know it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's good. That's the way I look at it, seriously.
Right. Wow. Well, I love the journey you're on, and I'm so excited to see where it takes you from here. And are there any last words that you would share with anyone listening who's thought about joining or applying to the program? What would you tell them?
I would say get out of your head, get into your body, and do the damn program because you're going to learn stuff you would never learn. You really, and you not only will you learn it, you'll experience it. You will literally experience it. And I have to say, I've gotten great results, and you'll be in the program. You will hear women getting such incredible results. You'll see it's so powerful, and it is completely experiential. It's in your body, it's happening. And I learned so much about myself and the power that as a woman that we all have. I just think it's incredible. It really is a beautiful thing. And yeah, more love and respect to the feminine and the masculine because of your program. Truly. It's a no-brainer. Don't use your brain. Just do it.
Right. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing, my love.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Tilly. I'm so glad you came into my field. It's fun to be your friend and definitely fun to be a part of your program. It's been life-changing for me, so thank you.
Oh, yay. Awesome, my dear. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right, my loves, thanks so much for joining us today. Amy mentioned a couple of resources that I wanted to share with you here. First was the book by Mama Gina. That book is called Pussy a Reclamation, and you can find it by searching Mama Gina, MAMAGENA, online, or it's also on Amazon. And she also mentioned the jade egg practice. I sell 100% nephrite jade eggs on my online store that you can purchase. That's at the link in the show notes. And obviously, if you want to take me up on that bonus that I shared with you earlier in this podcast, I am hosting the 8 Types of Female Orgasm live blueprint training starting on November 11th. And that cost $888 with a 2-pay payment plan available as well. And if you happen to apply and sign up for the Sensually Embodied Woman group coaching program by November 10th, you will get that 8 Types of Orgasm live blueprint training for free as a bonus for signing up for my signature group program. Thanks so much, my loves. All the links you need are down in the show notes, and I will see you next week. Bye.